This page is the cover. Blimey, look at that Duke Nukem on the front of a Nintendo mag. Proper lads game that one, wasn't it? World exclusive review, it screams. Protecting the Earth from the scum of the universe. Yeah right, we all knew what Duke was really protecting the Earth from. Nudge nudge wink wink, sikime. Below that, it's got Nagano Winter Olympics, Konami trying their hand at some snow sports then, calling it Snow Sprinkled Sports Sim. Bit of a mouthful. Then there's Pile Up, shouting about races Top Gear Rally, Lamborghini 64, San Francisco Rush, and F1 Grand Prix pole position. Must be their 4 top racers at the time. Bit of a stretch to call San Francisco Rush a proper racer compared to F1, but hey ho. Down at the bottom, Fox rocks. Lilac Wars lands in the UK. That's Star Fox 64 for you Yanks. Finally made it over here, and they're giving it a 5-page exclusive review. Oi, newsy, I've got no Lilac Wars pilot's guide. Bit cheeky. And then a little box shouting plus, over 40 pages of new games, listing Quake, Dual Heroes, Gomon 5, Power League Baseball 64, Chameleon Twist, and Bomberman 64. Blimey, they were packing it in back then, weren't they? Good times. The next page, blimey, it's a full-page advert for Blastcore, another rare game. They were really knocking them out for the N64, weren't they? This one's all about smashing stuff up, looks like. Big truck called Backlash in the middle, looks like it's driving right through a building. Drivers wanted, it shouts at the top. Says you can drive 15 different vehicles, from a Skyfall buggy to the awesome power of Backlash. Sounds a bit over the top, doesn't it? Demolition mission they call it, hard-hitting, block-busting. Yeah, we get it, you drive and smash things. Down the side, it's got all the N64 buzzwords, 64-bit power, 94 MHz speed, 3D environment, stereo sound. Tickbox marketing really. Nintendo 64 logo, and the Rareware logo at the bottom so you know it's going to be polished at least. Get into it, it says. Probably a bit of harmless fun, for a rental, back in the day. This issue's contents are dominated by Nintendo 64 games. A feature boasts the world's first review of Duke Nukem 64, emphasizing its multiplayer and showcasing over 100 screenshots. Racing games are heavily featured, with previews of Top Gear Rally and San Francisco Rush. Chameleon Twist, a platformer, is also highlighted. A large guide for Lilac Wars, Star Fox 64, is promised, along with a contest to win an N64. The news section previews games like Bomberman 64, Yoshi's Story, and Zelda 64. Ocarina of Time, alongside others. Non 64 plays, covers Gomon 5, and Power League Baseball 64, while reviews includes Duke Nukem and Lilac Wars. N64 sites, previews, Top Gear Rally, San Francisco Rush, and other titles. The issue also includes Tips Center and regular sections. The overall tone is typical of the era, filled with excitement and anticipation for the N64 library. Bomberman 64, a preview of Hudson Soft's N64 title, expands the series beyond its maze-based roots. The game introduces a 3D platform puzzler featuring Bomberman the Adventure across 5 worlds, utilizing bombs for puzzle solving. New bomb techniques and remote control bombs are also included. While the classic battle mode is now a secondary option, it features 6 3D arenas, replacing the traditional 2D levels. Players can still destroy opponents and collect items. The game was already released in Japan on a large 64 meg cart. The previewer expresses cautious optimism about the transition of the classic game to the 3D world of the N64. This page previews Bomberman 64, highlighting its new 3D arenas and all-new battle mode. The author questions if the changes, particularly the shift from grid-based levels, are for the better. A stop press section tempers excitement, citing disappointing first impressions from a Japanese copy and advising caution. The page also features a public service announcement regarding potentially faulty Hitachi He25 plugs in 64s, providing a free phone number for affected users. Additionally, a cart price drop section announces price reductions for various games, including Chameleon Twist and Extreme G. Lastly, a brain strain quiz tests Nintendo trivia knowledge. The article previews upcoming N64 games. Pikachu Genki Dechu is a communication adventure game starring Pikachu. Screenshots show blocky graphics. Japanese players can get Game Boy Pokémon data as a freebie. Victor Tokai acquired the rights to Sonic Wings Assault for the US. Madden 64 might be delayed, with a possible November release. All-Star Baseball is slated for spring '98. Capcom hints at Street Fighter and Mega Man titles for the N64, along with a Resident Evil-style game and a Tetris game. The author expresses excitement for Resident Evil but skepticism towards a Tetris puzzler, noting its early days for the console. This advertisement promotes F1 pole position 64 for the Nintendo 64. The bold, 90s-style ad features the game's title and racing imagery. The headline emphasizes the importance of first place. 4 screenshots showcase gameplay, highlighting the N64's graphics. The ad claims the game is the most authentic Formula One experience available, boasting features like the 1996 season, 16 Grand Prix tracks, 22 accurate cars, 30 drivers, realistic spinouts, skid turns, and pit radio communication. Official logos for Formula One, Nintendo 64, and publisher Ubisoft Entertainment are also present. While the claim of authenticity might be a stretch, the ad effectively hyped up the game as a serious racing sim for the time. This article previews Yoshi's story on the N64, highlighting new colorful Yoshi companions and classic enemies like Shy Guys and Snapping Fish. The game features familiar platforming hazards, such as water traps, buzzsaws, and spikes. The article also includes a time capsule section, reminiscing about past Nintendo magazine issues. Issue number 9 revealed Street Fighter II Turbo for the Super NES and featured Alien 3, while issue number 35 showcased Yoshi's Island and announced Cinder's appearance in the Killer Instinct sequel. The magazine reflects on its legacy, showcasing iconic games and cover art from its history. This page is an advert for Extreme Egg on the Nintendo 64. Blimey, remember that one? Acceleration so fast it hurts, it says, with some bloke pulling a right face on a motorbike. It was all about futuristic racing, wasn't it? Acclaim trying to push the envelope with speed and graphics on the N64. They were really going for it, claiming it was the fastest game on Earth according to, well, this very magazine. Always gotta take those claims with a pinch of salt, didn't ya? Still, Extreme Egg, it had its moments. Proper futuristic vibes with those anti-gravity bikes. Take it to the extreme, their slogan was. Those were the days, eh? This article previews the highly anticipated Legend of Zelda 64 for the Nintendo 64, calling it a 3D RPG with a massive 128 MB cart size. The article highlights the game's impressive graphics, drawing comparisons to Tomb Raider, and noting Link's ability to perform new actions like climbing ledges. New features include the addition of a hammer as a weapon, and a shift in Link's character design, making him more threatening. The article also introduces Navi, Link's fairy companion, who provides guidance and encouragement. The article praises the game's atmospheric environments, showcasing moody lighting in dungeons and a desert scene. The captions over the screenshots are slightly dramatic, but the article's overall excitement for the game is palpable. The article concludes by asking if you have ever seen an RPG look this good. Pebbled. This page is a bit of alright then, isn't it? Manga video, remember them? Blimey takes you back, so it's a full page ad, and what do we have here? Zelda! Ocarina of Time, or Legend of Zelda 64 as it was still being called back then, bang in the middle of an advert for videotapes. Talk about cross-promotion. They're using screenshots from the very game they were previewing, on the last page Link, exploring, pulling at a wall, and then the new grown-up looking Link fella. They're even making a joke about Link evolving from a squat little sprite, cheeky sods. Lock up your daughters, they say, haha. The text under the Zelda bits asks if Link has found a magic wall and jokes about him pushing it instead of pulling. Classic gaming humor there. It's all about the totally intergalactic butt-kick Earth Defender video stuff. Without the console, which is a bit weird as it is from the console, but they're pushing the videos, right? Down at the bottom they've got the VHS tapes they're plugging, Armageddon, and Macross Plus the movie. Released in '97, VHS days, can you believe it? That manga logo with, not for everyone, minus they knew their audience. Website address too, http://www.manga.com, bet that looks proper retro now. So yeah, basically a manga video advert, using the Zelda hype to flog some anime tapes on VHS. Very 90s, very of its time. This article previews upcoming N64 games, focusing on F-Zero 64. The game emphasizes speed, featuring 30 racers reaching over 600 km per hour, despite somewhat basic backgrounds. Racers have special powers, adding depth. Other games mentioned include Snowboard Kids, a 4-player snowboarding title, and Rev Limit, a racer praised at the Tokyo Game Show. Chameleon Twist, a platform puzzler, is confirmed for a UK release. Rumors suggest Midway's Robotron 64 might be cancelled or delayed. Hudson is developing Virtual On, Last Legion, a robot fighting game. The news overall provides a mixed bag, primarily spotlighting FOL064 and other upcoming titles. This page is an advert for MRC, Multi-Racing Championship, another one of those races for the N64. It's boasting about internal combustion engines, which is a bit of a weird flex, but alright. Apparently you get 8 high-performance, fully customizable vehicles. They're really pushing the true 64-bit visual detail line, as everyone was back then, and it's promising both on- and off-road racing with alternative routes. Looks alright from the screenshots, bit blocky as you'd expect on the 64, but they looked good enough at the time. It's trying to stand out in a crowded racing scene on the N64, so it's going for the customization and off-road angle, which is fair enough. Published by Ocean, who were around for ages, and Imagineer are doing the development. Another racing game to add to the pile. See if this one can actually do anything different from the rest. The N64 news update highlights several upcoming games. Konami's NBA in the Zone 98 promises to be the best dunking sim, boasting official NBA teams, 3D graphics and Rumble Pack support. The update also covers the Tokyo Game Show, where Konami, Hudson, and Imagineer showcased N64 titles, with Capcom announcing a puzzle game. Featured games include G.ASP, Fighting Cup, Puyo Puyo Sun 64, and Snowbo Kids. Additionally, the Game Boy is seeing a resurgence, with Konami releasing Game Boy Collection volumes and new Dracula and Goemon games. Enix is developing a new Dragon Quest adventure for the platform. Finally, Nintendo, Sega and Capcom are collaborating to form Flagship, a new games company with Capcom holding the majority shares and plans for 2 big title games on the N64. This page highlights upcoming N64 games and news. Konami is promoting NBA in the Zone 98, with an emphasis on 3D graphics and Rumble Pack support. A 3D Castlevania game is also in development, featuring multiple playable characters. Tamagotchi World 64 is announced as an N64 version of the Pocket Pet craze, with board game elements and minigames. Additionally, a promotional poster featuring a Japanese pop star is mentioned for the Rumble Pack. The page concludes with a Japanese release schedule, including Diddy Kong Racing and Top Gear Rally, slated for a UK release before Christmas. A Japanese N64 Top 5 chart is also provided, with titles like Goemon 5, Power League 64, GoldenEye 007, Super Mario 64, and Multi-Racing Championship. Konami is developing G.AS Page, Generation of Art, Speed and Power, a 3D beat-em-up for the N64. The game features fully interactive backgrounds and allows players to create custom fighters that can be saved to a memory pack and leveled up with experience. Boasting over 700 motion-captured fighting moves, the developers aim to deliver an engaging fighting experience. Screenshots show blocky but colorful characters in a street setting, and the game includes features like throwing traffic cones for mega damage. G.AS Page aims to introduce new ideas to the N64 fighting scene, with a release planned for early next year. This page is an advert for NFL Quarterback Club 98 on the N64. Blimey, remember Acclaim? They were certainly keen on the extreme thing back then, weren't they? This advert is no different with its shouty slogan, "Take it to the extreme." It's all very serious, isn't it? It's a full impact sport with no room for losers. Crush or be crushed. Show weakness, your history. A bit much for a video game advert, even if it is American football. Apparently this game has all American NFL action and all the teams, all the players, and the official NFL license. Well, that's what they all said back then, wasn't it? Still, it's a decent looking shot of a player in a helmet, I suppose. Not sure if it really screams Nintendo, but hey, it's the late 90s, anything goes. This article previews the N64 game Dual Heroes, a 3D beat-em-up published by Nintendo. It aims for a darker, more serious tone than previous versions, moving away from a cheesy Power Rangers aesthetic. The game features cyberpunk characters, inspired by 2000 AD comics, including a double-headed manchild and a female vampire, alongside some Power Ranger wannabes. The combat arenas are described as dark, futuristic environments like domes and spaceships, and even a nuclear wasteland train. Screenshots hint at a sarcastic tone, with Power Ranger references, yet also showcasing the sillier aspects, like 70s disco dance moves. The game seems to be balancing a gritty, cyberpunk feel with some inherent goofiness, creating a unique, yet potentially uneven, experience. This page highlights a few gaming news snippets. First, it features screenshots of the beat-em-up Dual Heroes, emphasizing its cheesy style with ironic captions. Next, a Spice Games section proposes the Bowser Battles, a strategy game with Mario characters. The concept involves Mario and Luigi commanding Yoshi's against Bowser's Koopa Troop, with Donkey Kong's mercenaries as reinforcements. On the right, the focus shifts to the Game Boy Pocket's UK launch of coloured models, replacing the original silver version. The article touts the new Pocket's improved screen, picture quality and battery life, with a price of £44.99, or £59.99 for a transparent model bundled with a game. The piece includes a nostalgic reference to the original Game Boy's sales figures, and a photo of happy young girls with their new handhelds. Nintendo's UK division is holding a Mario Kart 64 competition, Race for Fun is Go! Throughout October. The Nintendo Challenger Juggernauts will tour the UK, offering free play and prizes. Participants race on Mario Raceway using shortcuts, with an N64 given away hourly. Regional champions at each of the 5 venues, Edinburgh, Gateshead, Birmingham, Dudley, Thurrock, win an N64 and £200 of Nintendo gear. The fastest overall racer gets a special prize. The article also mentions the lack of new Soln 64 games, and offers tips for older games, including a Koopa Trooper Beach shortcut. This page is a bit of a departure. It's an advert for Clearasil face wash. Rather random for a Nintendo mag, isn't it? It's got 2 young lads, brothers apparently. The older one is all smug and spot-free, claiming Clearasil is the secret, telling his younger brother to, "Look at me." The younger one looks less than impressed, thinking, "Do I have to?" The text bangs on about how great Clearasil Complete is for preventing zits, and is 5 times better than ordinary soap. Right then, back to the game's next page hopefully. This page is all about the upcoming N64 game Snowbo Kids. It's a 3D snowboarding sim from Altus, and they're saying it's like Diddy Kong Racing but on snowboards. Seems like a bit of a kart racer vibe but with snow and stunts instead of karts. They're mentioning cute obstacles and exploding snowmen. Sounds a bit daft, doesn't it? Apparently there's a trick game mode, which they're comparing to the stunt mode from Wave Race 64, so you can expect some aerial shenanigans. They're saying there are 3 modes: practice to hone your skills, multiplayer races, and a dedicated stunt mode. Plus, you get to choose between snow and grass courses. Grass snowboarding, eh? Sounds a bit slippy to me. Down at the bottom there are a few news snippets. Still rumblings about the 64DD add-on, saying it'll hit Japan in November, then the US in March '98, and Europe later next year. They reckon it's ambitious, and games like Mother 3 are still ages off. There's also some stuff about Top Gear Rally being popular in Japan, and Kemco doing ads with some model. Nintendo in Japan are apparently raking it in thanks to Pokémon on the Game Boy, more so than the N64 itself, which is a bit of a surprise, isn't it? Finally, Game Boy Gallery 2 is out in Japan, bringing back those old Game and Watch classics like Parachute Helmet and Donkey Kong. No word on a UK release for that one yet. Shame. The next page is a bit of a weird one. It's an advert from Barclays Bank, trying to be all cool and down with the kids. It's got this list called 10 things you should have done before you're 16, and it's all about silly things like giving up bubblegum, threatening to leave home, throwing water over your dad's car and charging him £5, buying embarrassing quiz, that sort of childish nonsense. They even mention timing someone and getting away with it, which sounds a bit dodgy. See, then it shifts gears to, and 3 things you should do now, and suddenly it's all about being sensible and opening a Barclays Plus account. They're offering a cash machine card, Westmouth discount vouchers, and cinema vouchers if you're between 11 and 16. Bit of a strange way to promote a bank account, but I guess they were trying to grab the attention of the younger readers with these daft pranks before hitting them with the banking stuff. Times were different then, weren't they? This page is all about NBA Hang Time. Remember that one? Yeah, it's another one of those over-the-top arcade basketball games, bit like NBA Jam, but newer. Big heads, crazy dunks, all that jazz. It's an advert for the game itself, showing off the logo in gold and red, and a player doing a dunk, silhouetted against a blue diamond shape. The background looks like some kind of inner-city basketball court, a bit run down with those broken windows. Right at the bottom, in the small print, it says it's a coin-operated video game, which dates it, doesn't it? And then, rosters updated as of November 3rd, 1996. So this is from around that time, late 96, when everyone was still going mad for these arcade sports games on their home consoles. Pretty standard stuff for the time, really. Not much else to say about this page, it's just a game advert. This page is basically another advert for NBA Hang Time then. Carrying on from the last page, seems like they are really trying to get the word out for this one. It's showing off the game with a player doing a massive jump dunk. What else? That's what these games were all about, those ridiculous dunks. The background is some urban basketball court. Looks a bit run down, to be honest, with those smashed windows in that building behind. They've got that colourful basketball on show, and a couple of hands reaching up to try and block. Probably not going to happen though. Down at the bottom you've got all the logos. Midway, the NBA official badge. Nintendo 64 of course. Then a weird "I love this stuff" logo, bit naff that, and it says it's distributed by GT Interactive Software. So yeah, another page pushing this arcade basketball game. Same as the last one really, but can't complain, these games were a proper laugh back in the day. This magazine page features various competitions. The Big Blag offers prizes like hackers, grids and thinking caps, with a trivia question about computer-themed movies. The main prize is an N64 console tied to Lilac Wars, Star Fox 64, testing players on Fox McCloud's companion. Another competition, Can You Handle Truth, focuses on X-Files trivia. Run for the Hills offers a volcano survival kit related to Super Mario 64's volcanic level. Finally, Jam Hot gives away Space Jam merchandise, asking a question about the film's star. These contests were standard fare for magazines, utilizing movie and game tie-ins to engage readers. This N64 magazine snapshot highlights the early console's games. The editorial team, including Simon Clays, David McComb, and others, each has diverse music tastes. Review scores are presented for popular games. Super Mario 64 and Turok both earned 95%, with Essential Buy awards, although critiques were offered. Mario Kart 64 and Wave Race 64 also received high marks. Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire, Killer Instinct Gold, and Pilot Wings 64 received solid scores, while Mortal Kombat Trilogy and Hexen struggled with their conversions. Doom 64 and ISS 64 were praised, with FIFA 64 getting a low score. Blast Corps earned an Essential Buy rating as well. The magazine concludes with a quiz section and a scoring system, providing a comprehensive overview of the N64's early game library. Duke Nukem 64, a port of the popular PC game, is coming to the N64 in October. The review anticipates a good 3D shooter, acknowledging the N64's strong lineup in the genre, including Doom 64 and the upcoming GoldenEye 007. While the reviewer is skeptical of the "kick serious butt" claim, they suggest checking out Duke Nukem 64, especially for those who missed the PC original. The game, published by GT Interactive, will cost £59.99. It supports 1 to 4 players, features deathmatch, and uses a 64 MB cartridge, saving progress via the memory pack. The review concludes with anticipation about whether the game will live up to the hype. Rene? Duke Nukem 64, hyped as amazing, is a first-person shooter for the N64, aiming to compete with titles like Doom and GoldenEye. The game offers 3 modes: single-player, rescue missions, Duke Match, deathmatch for up to 4 players, and cooperative, potentially causing arguments. The article reminisces about Duke Nukem's origins, as shareware on PC, in 1991, followed by Duke Nukem 2, in 1993, and the move to 3D, in 1996. The game is coming to N64, PlayStation, and Saturn, with the N64 version subtly favored. Screenshots showcase features like dual submachine guns, exclusive to the N64 version, and a chaotic split-screen Duke Match. Overall, the article builds anticipation for Duke Nukem 64's arrival, positioning it as a contender in the N64 shooter landscape. The magazine continues its coverage of Duke Nukem 64, noting the toned-down adult humor compared to other versions. A section highlights the censorship, mentioning the removal of scantily clad women in the dance bar, replaced by crates. However, suggestive content remains in the game's movie screens. The article then praises Duke's expanded abilities, such as ducking, jumping, swimming, and jetpack use, differentiating him from other FPS characters of the time. Finally, the magazine details the first level set in post-invasion Los Angeles, describing it as accessible but challenging. Screenshots depict Duke destroying objects and battling enemies, hinting at hidden weapons and items within the classic level design. Duke Nukem 64 continues the tradition of saving babes from aliens, this time via a simple B button press. The N64 version boasts superior graphics, transforming 2D bosses into textured 3D models with spectacular explosions. The developers have preserved the classic Duke ISMS, while adding new cheesy one-liners to maintain the Duke vibe. A sidebar highlights iconic quotes like, "It's time to kick ass and chew bubblegum." A level walkthrough showcases classic Duke action, including a cinema and arcade. Players can infiltrate the cinema through a back door, battling enemies, and acquiring a shotgun and grenade launcher. The red keycard is crucial. The arcade is packed with enemies, and the exit is reached by shooting a fire extinguisher to create a path. This page is a review of Duke Nukem 64. They've called it Big Bang Baby, which is a fair enough name for a Duke game, I suppose. It's all about the weapons, really, going through each bit of kit you get to play with. They start with the pistol, your bog standard starting gun, and then get into the shotgun, good for getting up close and personal with those pig cops. Submachine guns get a mention too, dual wielding those is always a laugh. Pipe bombs are there, of course, because what's Duke without pipe bombs? Then it's the shrinker/expander, a bit of a wacky weapon for shrinking or growing enemies, good for a giggle. The rocket launcher is in there for when you want to make a proper mess. The laser trip bomb sounds a bit more strategic. Plant it and catch enemies out. And then finally the plasma cannon, apparently the coolest weapon, needs charging up but sounds like it packs a punch. Oh, and they've got Mighty Foot as well when you're out of bullets. Duke just boots someone in the face, can't go wrong with that. Seems like they're pretty chuffed with the amount of weapons in the N64 version, which is fair enough, it did have a good selection. This page is a bit of an odd one, an advert for Oxy face wash. It's got some bloke getting splashed with water, looking all moody. They're going on about improving your chances with the opposite sex and telling you to start using protection. Bit strong for a face wash advert, isn't it? It's for spots apparently, the daily wash that helps prevent spots before they start. Right at the bottom you can see the bottles, Oxy Sensitive, and just plain Oxy Daily Wash. So yeah, bit of a random skincare advert in the middle of a gaming mag. Marketing, eh? This review examines Duke Nukem 64 within the context of other N64 first-person shooters. Duke Nukem 64 is praised for its humor and interactive elements, like pool tables and phones. The Lost and Found section highlights the game's item pickups, including scuba gear, protective boots, armor, medkits, Vitamin X, called steroids, holoduke, jetpack, and night vision goggles. The review also provides quick takes on other FPS titles. Doom 64 is deemed visually dated but still enjoyable, with disappointing multiplayer. Hexen is heavily criticized as a disappointment. GoldenEye 007 receives high praise. Finally, Quake 64, still in development, is anticipated, particularly its single-player mode. The review serves as a snapshot of the N64 FPS landscape at the time. This magazine page reviews Duke Nukem 64, heavily praising its multiplayer, comparing it favorably to GoldenEye 007. The reviewer highlights the ability to play across 29 levels, even with AI-controlled jukebots. The review also notes the censorship present in the N64 version compared to the PC original, with toned-down content like bikinis replacing topless dancers. Despite the changes, the reviewer, Sean White, considers Duke Nukem 64 superior to the PC version, citing excellent graphics, engaging level design, and impressive sound and multiplayer experiences. The game receives high scores, 92 for graphics, 88 for sound, 91 for playability, and 89 for lastability, resulting in an overall score of 91%. The review strongly recommends the game as a must-buy. This page is a review for Lilat Wars, which as everyone knows, is Star Fox 64. Apparently, some American company had the rights to the Star Fox name, hence the change for us here. The reviewer reckons it's the best shoot-'em-up you're likely to see for ages, and that's a big claim considering the pedigree of the genre. They mention that if you enjoyed Starwing on the SNES, you'll be right at home with this, as it's set in the same Lilat system and features Fox McCloud. They're calling it an essential buy, which is high praise indeed from official Nintendo magazine. The review talks about how veteran players will recognize the opening level on Corneria, and that the gameplay is fast and furious right from the start. It also mentions a training mode for newcomers to the Lilat system. There are a few screenshots showing in-game action, classic rail shooter stuff, blasting enemies and flying through obstacles. At the bottom, there's a little info box telling us it's a shoot-'em-up for 14 players, with a battle mode. It's on a 64 meg cart, doesn't need a battery backup, but does save high scores to the memory pack. Price is £59.99, and it's out in October, a bit pricey for a game back then, but for a flagship N64 title like this it's to be expected I suppose. Looks like a solid recommendation all round. This text introduces the Star Fox team in a review of the game. It highlights the shift from the SNES game, where characters were silent, to the new version with voice dialogue. The team consists of Fox McCloud, the leader and best pilot, Peppy Hare, the experienced veteran and advisor, Slippy Toad, the mechanically inclined but often troubled pilot, and Falco Lombardi, the brave but sometimes reckless member. The review notes the classic Fox to the rescue theme, emphasizing Fox's role in saving his teammates. The text sets up the team for their mission to defeat Andros, with screenshots showcasing the game's tunnel-flying gameplay. This review of Star Fox 64, titled Take Aim, Fire, highlights the game's core mechanics. The R-Wing, starting basic but upgradable during levels, encourages exploration. Weaponry includes the weak laser, the rapid-fire twin laser, and the powerful but easily lost hyper laser. The lock-on laser provides homing capabilities, except against bosses. Smart bombs clear the screen. Power-ups are detailed. Supply rings restore energy, middle supply grants full shields, and shield rings provide energy and extra lives. Voice acting is praised, with teammates offering guidance, though Slippy's chatter can be distracting. The review uses screenshots to showcase the weapons and power-ups, solidifying the gameplay overview. Star Fox 64 offers more than just standard shooting. The single-player mode features both 3D scrolling levels with guided paths and all-range mode boss battles in open arenas. Multiplayer, dubbed Lilat Wars Battle Mode, allows for chaotic last-man-standing battles with up to 4 players, including a remote camera view. The game also introduces branching level paths based on player choices, such as saving Falco, leading to different stages and bosses, enhancing replayability. The final boss, Androzudros, requires players to target his eyes and avoid his attacks. Overall, Star Fox 64 combines varied gameplay modes, multiplayer, and level depth. This review praises Lilat Wars, Star Fox 64, for its innovative use of the Rumble Pack, immersing players in the action. The game features exciting multi-stage boss battles and diverse Landmaster tank sections. The reviewer, Sean White, highlights the game's exceptional gameplay, building upon the Starwing formula but with improvements. He also praises the multiplayer mode, making it a more engaging experience than the competition. The review awards high scores across the board. 94 for graphics, noting its visual improvements over 16-bit games. 90 for sound. 94 for playability, for accessibility for new and veteran players. And 88 for longevity, with special praise for completionists. The overall score is a strong 93%, recommending the game wholeheartedly. This page showcases a full-page advert for the beat-em-up War Gods, proper Mortal Kombat style, from Midway. It's got that classic 90s gritty look, all dark backgrounds and rendered characters. They're showing off a bunch of the fighters with pairings like Kabuki Joe, described as a feared medieval samurai, facing off against Tak, avenger of a lost civilization. Then there's Vala, a Viking goddess, going up against Pagan, a mistress of the black arts. Anubis, his soul is cursed, is fighting Maximus, a mighty gladiator, and Warhead, a superhuman fighter, versus Psi-5, an advanced cyborg. Finally, Ahaukin, an evil high priest, is up against Voodoo, god of the undead. Bit of a mashup of themes going on there, isn't it? Looks like it's coming out on the N64, PlayStation, and even PC, so they were clearly trying to get it everywhere. Midway logo at the bottom, they were no stranger to this kind of over-the-top fighter back then, were they? This page, crikey, it's a full-on advert for Sported magazine, remember that one? It was trying to be the king of sports mags back in the day. They've gone all out, haven't they? With a load of mini-covers plastered everywhere. You've got Zola looking like he's just scored a worldie for Chelsea, Tim Henman looking like he's ready to serve up an ace at Wimbledon, Prince Nazim Hind flexing those muscles, and Damon Hill after winning a race in F1. Proper Brit sports heroes, that lot. Aye. Then there's the international lads too, like Michael Jordan doing his thing for the Chicago Bulls, and Mike Tyson looking like he's about to knock someone's block off. Les Ferdinand for Newcastle, David James in his Liverpool kit, yeah, all big names. They're really pushing the flashiest sports magazine outline, bit cheesy if you ask me, but it was the 90s, wasn't it? It's only £1 though, can't grumble at that, and on sale every 2 weeks, they're shouting. They were really trying to get you hooked, weren't they? Definitely aimed at the younger lads, this, trying to get them away from just reading about games and into sports instead. It's got that loud in-your-face style that was everywhere back then, bright colours, lots of exclamation marks, classic magazine advertising of the time. Cosmic's Code Quest offers tips for Lilat Wars, Star Fox 64, on the N64. The guide includes battle mode tricks, enabling landmasters, and on-foot combat by achieving medals on specific routes. The guide also offers a Sector Z power-up tip for a full energy refill, and kill quotas, with target scores for various routes, from easy to difficult. Screenshots accompany the guide, including classic Falco dialogue. The tips are purportedly verified by the Nintendo hotline. This Nintendo Tip Center page highlights cheat codes for several N64 games. For Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 64, players can alter player sizes, dwarf to giant players, and head sizes using button combinations. Multi-Racing Championship, MRC, offers turbo start and shortcut tricks for Nitrous Oxide City and the hard track. War Gods 64, despite its flaws, features cheats for auto fatality and playing as bosses. Finally, Doom 64 provides the supercode for God Mode, allowing players to breeze through the game. All these tips were supposedly verified by the Nintendo hotline, a testament to the era of cheat code culture. This article unearths retro cheat codes for classic games. In Killer Instinct Gold, N64, you can juggle the dead by taunting opponents with low health, using specific moves for Sabrewulf, Jago, and Fulgore. Wing Commander, SNES, allows you to become captain and unlock the Raptor Heavy Fighter by entering Wildfire as your name, and using the code DQDGTD4, CQ0. For F1 Race, Game Boy, a multiplayer turbo start can be achieved by pressing the accelerator at the right moment. Donkey Kong Country 3, Game Boy, offers a level warp in Barrel Shield Bust Up by interacting with a specific barrel. Lastly, Kirby's Pinball Land, Game Boy, provides a bonus game by holding left and select, pressing B on the title screen, and starting the game when a white cat appears. These verified tips are from the days of the Nintendo hotline. This magazine page offers tips and cheats for classic games. For Blast Corps, find scientists in levels like Argent Towers and Tempest City, and learn vehicle locations. Urban Strike gets cheat codes. Zelda, A Link to the Past reveals Magic Cape and Blue Cane locations. Super Mario World details how to beat Bowser. Toy Story provides level passwords and invincibility/stage skip codes. Castlevania, Vampire's Kiss uses letter-based passwords. Finally, the page features the Nintendo hotline team, Mike, Donna, James and Paul, ready to help with N64, Super NES and Game Boy problems, along with their old phone number. This Nintendo Hot Help page offers retro gaming tips for various titles. The beat-em-up section reveals hidden characters and cheat codes in Mortal Kombat 3, including enabling human smoke, one-button fatalities, and accessing bonus options. Sports Sims features codes for Wayne Gretzky's ice hockey to unlock super teams, ISS Deluxe Soccer's Superstar Team and Dog Referee, and Street Racer's car modifications and bonus tracks. Puzzle Games highlights Tetris attack strategies like level difficulty manipulation and two-player rival selection, alongside a questionable speed boost. The page concludes with a call to the Nintendo hotline, reminding us of the pre-internet era of gaming support. Gore. This page carries on the tip section, this time moving away from cheat codes and diving into a proper walkthrough for a game, specifically Hexen on the N64. It's part 2 of a player's guide, focusing on episode 3, Heresiarch Seminary, and it's all about the puzzle of the planets. They've broken it down into 5 numbered steps with screenshots, just like proper old-school walkthroughs used to be. Step 1 is entering the level by elevator and creeping into the terrifying seminary. Bit dramatic, but alright. Step 2 mentions the lights coming on, triggering an earthquake and sinister power. Sounds very Hexen-y, that. Step 3 talks about a chart on a wall and finding planets in the orchard and refectory. Step 4 mentions stained glass windows in the northeastern and northwestern corners of the seminary. Finally, Step 5 is about smashing glass and pulling switches to open up corridors. Classic Switch puzzle stuff, really. Meisted. It's quite concise, doesn't hold your hand too much, assuming you've got some idea what you're doing. Right at the bottom it proudly states, all tips verified by the Nintendo hotline, bless them. Back in the day before the internet had all the answers, and you actually had to phone up for help. Those were the days, eh? Still, Hexen, cracking game. Bit dark and gothic for Nintendo maybe, but still a decent Doom clone with a fantasy twist. Good to see it getting some love in the mag. This guide picks up where the previous one left off, leading players through Hexen's Silent Refectory, First Emerald Planet, and First Sapphire Planet levels. The Silent Refectory features a simple lift puzzle. The first Emerald Planet involves jumping, switch pulling, and navigating portals, with a warning about a hidden Dark Bishop. Players ultimately obtain an Emerald Planet. The first Sapphire Planet requires climbing, jumping on boxes, and activating switches, culminating in retrieving the Sapphire Planet. The guide, verified by the Nintendo hotline, emphasizes exploration and navigating maze-like environments, characteristic of Hexen's gameplay. This magazine page continues its Hexen walkthrough, focusing on 3 levels: Ruby Planet, Orchard of Lamentations, and Second Emerald Planet. Ruby Planet involves classic dungeon crawling, including finding the Ruby Planet, lava pools, and hidden passages. Orchard of Lamentations is more puzzle-focused, requiring switch manipulation, battling enemies, and using secret teleports. The Second Emerald Planet is described as the most challenging, with enemies like Slaughters and poison mushrooms, crushing floors, and a complex switch-activated route to reach the Emerald Planet near Slimefalls. The author finds the levels typical of Hexen's often convoluted design. This guide covers 4 Hexen levels: Second Sapphire Planet, the last segment of your 4th weapon, fitting the planets on the chart, and Puzzle of the Chapels. Second Sapphire Planet involves platforming and teleportation to collect the Sapphire Planet. The last segment of your 4th weapon focuses on finding hidden switches and navigating doors to obtain the final weapon piece. Fitting the planets on the chart requires solving a puzzle to place planets on a chart, leading to a room with portals and wall panels. Puzzle of the Chapels is a complex maze-like area with interconnected chapels, each with portals and switches that affect other chapels, demanding a lot of puzzle solving. This guide provides tips for navigating 3 interconnected chapels in Hexen: Griffin, Wolf, and Dragon. In Griffin Chapel 1, players must find a secret door and switches to solve the first puzzle, which unlocks areas in other chapels. Wolf Chapel 1 involves finding a switch to open doors, and subsequently activate the first puzzle, which affects both Griffin and Dragon Chapels. Finally, Dragon Chapel 1 features a lamp circle, activated by completing previous puzzles, leading to battles and a maze of doors. The west door reveals rotating pillars, opened by the other chapels' puzzles. Solving the Dragon Chapel's puzzle switch unlocks areas in Wolf and Griffin Chapels, emphasizing the complex level design. This guide explores 3 areas in Hexen. Griffin Chapel 2 involves finding a staircase, navigating a walkway, and triggering a switch. Griffin Chapel 3 introduces lava pits and a complex puzzle. Players must follow a black arrow to reveal a magic bridge, then hit a switch to open bars, teleport, and enter a room with sliding walls. Before activating the puzzle switch, 4 hidden switches marked by purple diamonds must be found. Finally, Wolf Chapel 2 features an auditorium with a triangle symbol. Jumping on pillars raises the floor, granting access to the Crater of Might. Luna. This Nintendo Tip Center guide offers help with the challenging levels of Hexen on the N64. Wolf Chapel 3 involves navigating dark corridors to find a puzzle switch which, when activated, reveals platforms leading to an icon of the defender. Players must battle dark bishops in a room with pillars to reach the switch. Dragon Chapel 2 guides players through a series of switches and dragon symbols. Starting in the west corridor, players must activate walls to reveal lifts and switches, ultimately opening doors to the main hall and the second puzzle. Dragon Chapel 3 involves navigating the east corridor, dealing with enemies to reach switches, and elevators to solve the final puzzle, a process also involving dragon symbols. The final battle with the Heresiarch in Hexen takes place in the main hall. Prepare with your best weapons, like the Quietus and Wraith of Urge, and brace for multiple attack modes, including deadly purple fireballs and skull-shaped blobs. The Heresiarch can also become invincible, blocking attacks, while summoning dark bishops. Focus on the Heresiarch and use quartz flasks for health. Keep moving to avoid the fireballs. After his defeat, ignore the exploding mana cubes. Warrington the Seminary will begin to crumble. Head to the west side to access the inner sanctum. Acolytes will still be present, so eliminate them. Finally, jump into the Chaos Serpent's room to find the portal to the next episode. The next issue will cover the following episodes, and Satan's Little Helpers. This page is the Classic Corner, and this month they're dusting off Pilot Wings for the Super Nintendo. Pilot Wings was a proper tech demo for the Cines Mode 7, wasn't it? This article provides a lesson guide to help you navigate the game's challenges. It walks through lessons 1 to 4, offering tips for each vehicle. light plane, skydiving, rocket belt, and hang glider. For each lesson, they give concise instructions accompanied by screenshots. They cover things like throttle control for the plane, gliding techniques for skydiving, the rather sensitive controls of the rocket belts, and catching thermals with the hang glider. They even highlight common pitfalls, like diving directly into the target when parachuting. We've all been there. Essentially, it's your guide to achieving gold medals across all events. Pilotwings, still quite unique even now, and this article looks like a decent refresher or introduction if you're giving it another go. This page carries on with the Pilotwings guide, picking up from Lesson 5. We're still going through the different vehicles and challenges in the game. Lesson 5 is light plane again, but this time the rings are smaller, and you've got to be more careful apparently, gliding in and cutting the throttle to land smoothly. Lesson 6 is skydiving, focusing on rotating yourself and adjusting your lean to nail the 5 rings, pulling the chute at 1,000 feet. Lesson 7 is back to light plane again, mentioning the wind will push you sideways, so you'll need to adjust your approach and cut the throttle early for a smooth landing where the runways intersect. Lesson 8 is hang glider, telling you to stay low and turn hard right after taking off, catching thermals and circling to get height, then diving towards the target for landing. There's also a password section here, giving you passwords to skip to later lessons, which was pretty standard back in the day, wasn't it? Passwords for lessons 2 through 9 and mission 2 are listed. Finally, at the bottom, there's a help, I'm stuck section with a Nintendo hotline number. Which is a laugh, imagine calling them up now for Pilotwings tips. They even put the old UK Nintendo magazine logo on the bottom right, proper retro stuff. This page announces a contest for Nintendo 64 owners. How high can you try? Players are challenged to demonstrate their gaming skills in hopes of winning prizes, including a free magazine subscription. The challenges include completing Blast Core Time Attack on Oyster Harbor, collecting coins in Super Mario 64, achieving the best lap time in Multi-Racing Championships time trial mode on the mountain course, and reaching Area 6 in Lylat Wars, Star Fox 64, after shooting all 8 Macbeth switches. Players are instructed on how to take photos of their scores and times. The contest is open to entries sent to a London address by November 21st. The winners will be rewarded with a subscription to the magazine. A previous winners list is included. Borway. This advertisement promotes a subscription to the official Nintendo magazine from late 1997. It entices readers with a subscribe and save offer, promising a £7.50 discount on a 12-month subscription. Subscribers received 12 issues for the price of 9. Delivered to their door postage-free within the UK. The ad highlights the magazine's focus on N64 exclusives, news, reviews, and a monthly free tips book. Readers could subscribe via mail or a phone hotline, open during specific hours, a stark contrast to today's 24/7 accessibility. Subscription rates varied by location, with UK subscriptions costing £22.50. The ad included offer and source codes for tracking purposes, and the offer expired on November 30, 1997. This review examines F1 Pole Position 64 for the N64, a Formula 1 simulation from Ubisoft. The game, a tweaked version of the Japanese title Human Grand Prix, features typical N64 graphics and includes modes like World Grand Prix and Time Trials. Screenshots show car telemetry and tracks such as Albert Park, possibly Imola or Monza. The game offers a full season, practice, and 2-player battle mode, with a price of £59.99 and an October release date. It boasts a 64 MB cart and saves standings, but lacks battery backup. Players can choose drivers like Schumacher, Hill, and Hakkinen from the 1996 season, with FIA/FOCA endorsement aiming for realism. Though the review notes the inclusion of fictional drivers, the game appears promising for F1 fans, potentially worth a rental. F1 Pole Position 64, reviewed here, boasts typical N64 graphics, blocky but colorful. The game's lack of licenses resulted in amusingly altered driver names like Hammond Dill and Skeel Mihumaka. Players can customize the experience significantly, adjusting steering, pitwork strategy, team, driver, car specs, fuel, tires and gear type. Difficulty, damage, and AI aggression are also adjustable, catering to both casual and hardcore racers. The review highlights the game's customization options, while the screenshots showcase racing action and various settings. However, the review isn't entirely positive, and it ends with a score of 61%, suggesting the game's flaws, such as the graphics or the driver names, prevent it from being excellent. This page continues the review of F1 Pole Position 64, and it seems to be delving into the camera options and sound, which, back in the day, were actually quite a big deal, especially on the N64. They're going on about pressing the correct buttons to change camera angles during a race, which, yeah, fair enough, gave you a few different views. They mention rear view mirrors and views from the nose cone and cockpit, all standard stuff really. They do point out that the track pop-up is a bit dodgy, making corners and cars appear out of nowhere sometimes. Not ideal, but we were used to a bit of fogging and popping on the N64, weren't we? Then there's a section called It's Good to Talk, talking about the audio. Apparently, rather than just engine noises, they tried to add atmosphere with crashes, rain, wheel spins and even pitter-driver comms. They're saying the radio messages are supposed to keep you in the loop, but are mostly nonsense, with generic phrases like, "looking good, keep going," which is a bit of a laugh really, as if that's actually helpful during a race. Still, they tried, didn't they? Can't fault them for trying to spice things up a bit on the audio front. Formula 1 Pole Position 64 receives a mixed review. The game praises the N64's analog stick for improved control compared to older systems. An overall score of 75% suggests the game is only for dedicated speed enthusiasts. The graphics, sound, playability and lastability are rated at 75%, 75%, 70% and 72% respectively. Graphics suffer from poor pop-up scenery. Sound is satisfactory. Playability is hampered by difficult controls and narrow tracks. Lastability offers authentic Formula 1 content, appealing to hardcore fans. The reviewer notes, the game fills a gap in the N64 racing sim market, but the slow pop-up and challenging gameplay ultimately make it only an okay experience. This page seems to be a bit of a light-hearted interlude, probably after some serious game reviews. It's got a picture of what looks like some medieval props hanging on a brick wall. There's a horned helmet, sitting on a shelf, a rather hefty axe, and a sword underneath. Above the helmet, there's a sign that reads, in a sort of old-fashioned font, "Forget everything your mother said about running with sharp objects." It's clearly a bit of a joke, playing on the usual gamer behavior back then, especially with games like GoldenEye or Turok, where running around waving sharp things was pretty much the order of the day, despite what your mum might have told you about safety. It's a funny little page filler, probably intended to give readers a chuckle between game reviews and news. No specific games are mentioned directly on this page, but the imagery definitely evokes that kind of action-adventure feel that was popular on the N64 at the time. This page is a full-on advert for Hexen on the Nintendo 64. It's got that very dark, moody look they were going for back then, all shadows and grimy textures. The main image is a close-up of what looks like a metal gauntlet, and some chainmail, very medieval fantasy style. Jitiuer. The text is all about becoming a hero. Choosing to be a warrior, mage, or cleric, classic fantasy RPG stuff. They're banging on about wielding lethal weapons, possessing superhuman powers, casting wicked spells, and pillaging your way through earthquakes and crumbling bridges. Bit dramatic? In it, they really lay it on thick, talking about inflicting serious pain and how these are the rules to live by, going beyond evil and all that. And then they claim it's beyond any 3D game ever created, which is a pretty big statement even for the late 90s. Bit much if you ask me, but marketing, eh? Down at the bottom you've got the Nintendo 64 logo of course, and then the logos for GT Interactive, Fendid Software and Raven Software, so you know it's got some pedigree behind it, with Fendid being the Doom guys. There are a couple of tiny little screenshots showing the game in action, looks like first-person perspective dungeon crawling, very much in the vein of Doom or Heretic, which Hexen is sort of a follow-up to. So yeah, full-page ad pushing Hexen as the next big thing on the N64. Mystical Ninja, starring Goemon, the N64 title, aims to compete with Mario 64 in the 3D platforming genre. The game features Goemon battling alien invaders who have landed near his village. Expect the usual Goemon zaniness as he faces a fire-breathing robot boss, Vulcan. The intro promises a cinematic experience with spaceships and aliens, possibly exceeding the visual quality of Mario 64 demos, though that might be an overstatement. This 3D adventure is a single-player game on a 128 meg cartridge, already released in Japan. Standard features include battery backup, but no memory pack usage. Gamecha. Mystical Ninja, starring Goemon, promises a quirky 3D platformer adventure. The game's story involves Goemon encountering eccentric characters and navigating puzzles, with the potential for helpful advice from unlikely sources. Players should expect to face off against various enemies in a world that ranges from bamboo forests to temple interiors. The screenshots showcase Goemon's antics, including battles against formidable foes. The article also highlights the game's humorous tone, with a Goemon acting masterclass segment playfully criticizing Goemon's emotional range, comparing it to that of Posh Spice. Overall, the preview suggests a light-hearted and humorous experience, distinct from typical platformers, with a focus on Goemon's unique charm. This magazine page previews the new N64 game, Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, Goemon 5. It also provides background on the series, highlighting the high regard for the SNES games. Mystical Ninja, SNES, received a 92% rating, with sequels Goemon 2 and Goemon 3 earning 93% and 91%, respectively. Even Goemon 4 scored well at 84%, despite being criticized for its ease. The N64 game features pick-em-ups with various items and power-ups, and allows players to use different characters with unique weapons. In a 64 view section, Tim Street praises the game, comparing it to Super Mario 64. Despite the Japanese text and slightly annoying music, he raves about the excellent graphics, characters, and bosses, hoping for a UK release. Overall, the review suggests the new Goemon game is a promising, quirky platformer. This advertisement from a late 90s gaming magazine showcases Special Reserve, a mail-order company heavily promoting Nintendo 64 products. They offered the N64 console, including a Fire Pack, and a variety of games like Mario Kart 64, GoldenEye 007, and The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. The ad also featured Super NES and Game Boy items, likely to clear out older stock. Special Reserve enticed customers with a Special Reserve Club, offering magazines, cheat books, and free gifts like mini handheld consoles. They also listed physical big club shops across the south of England, guaranteeing the lowest prices. The ad's focus on 64 games and club memberships reflects the pre-internet era of gaming. This page is a full-on advert for Doom 64, splashed across the page in that classic gritty, textured style they went for back then. Right in your face with the dramatic text, "You killed the demons once. They were all dead. Or so you thought." Always with the theatrics, these gaming ads. It's basically setting the scene for Doom 64, saying the demons are back, stronger, and more vicious than ever. Your mission is clear: kill or be killed. Subtle, eh? Big bold letters. And there's the Doom 64 logo, in that chunky futuristic font, and the Midway logo. Remember Midway? They were knocking out decent stuff back in the day. Good old Doom, always reliable for some demon-blasting action. This page is another full-page spread for Doom 64, continuing right on from the last one. It's got that same demonic head smack bang in the middle, looks like something out of a heavy metal album cover, all horns and gnarly teeth. You killed the demons once. They were all dead, or so you thought. B. Still going with that dramatic tagline, eh? Classic Doom. It's a pretty menacing image, to be fair, for a Nintendo 64 game. They were really trying to push the darker side of things back then. It's definitely aimed at getting your blood pumping, promising more demon-slaying action in Doom 64. You can see the Nintendo 64 logo in the corner, just to remind you what console this is all on. Midway and Leide Software logos are down there too, just like the previous page, solidifying who's behind this demonic blastfest. Power League 64, a baseball game for the Nintendo 64 from Hudson Soft, aims to surpass previous 64-bit baseball titles. Featuring the official Japanese Baseball League license, the game emphasizes realism with real teams, players, logos, and stadium ads. While gameplay screenshots look acceptable, the review questions the game's success, wondering if cynical players will find it classic or rubbish. The game is a sports simulation supporting 1 to 2 players with a versus mode. It requires a memory pack for league saving. Released in Japan, the game's price is C importer, implying a high import cost. Developed and published by Hudson Soft, it could be a worthwhile purchase for baseball enthusiasts able to find and afford it. This page is all about baseball, specifically how to play it in video games, likely related to that Power League 64 game they were just on about. It's got this "Play Ball" headline, and it's trying to explain the basics to us Brits because, let's face it, most of us are clueless about baseball, aren't we? They say it looks like a game of souped UP rounders, which is a bit cheeky. Adorable. They're going through the fundamental rules like strike, ball, out, safe, and dead ball, using screenshots from the game to illustrate each point. For ball, they even compare it to a wide in cricket, to help us understand, which is fair enough. It's all quite straightforward, explaining what happens when you get strikes or balls, or when a batter is out or safe. There's a section called Zoom with a View which is banging on about the camera angles in the game, saying it zooms around the pitch like ISS 64. They're impressed with the 3D graphics and being able to see replays from any angle, which back then was a proper selling point, mind you. They're making a point about how video games let you see stuff you wouldn't in real life, showing a bird's-eye view of the batter as an example. It's a decent little intro to baseball rules using the game as a visual aid, for those of us who'd rather stick to footy and cricket. This review of Power League 64 highlights both its strengths and weaknesses. Batter Up details the hitting mechanics, emphasizing the need to anticipate pitches due to a swing delay. Home Run Hero describes the home run derby mode. Don't Speak humorously acknowledges the exciting, albeit unintelligible, Japanese commentary. 64 View by Tim Street provides the core critique. The game excels visually, with impressive graphics and a strong soundtrack, but disappoints in gameplay. The review finds the hitting delay and demanding precision frustrating. While hardcore baseball fans might enjoy the challenge, the reviewer suggests that casual gamers seeking fun may be left wanting, ultimately concluding that the game is visually impressive but flawed in its core gameplay. This gameplay advert from the N64 era showcases a mail order specialist promoting consoles, games, and accessories. They emphasize price, choice, quality, service, and heavily feature the N64, offering consoles bundled with popular games like Mario Kart and Super Mario 64. They highlight their unbeatable service guarantee and sell official UK consoles, possibly a jab at grey imports. The advert lists a wide selection of UK N64 games and offers a Aorus import section using an adapter. Accessories include controllers, memory cards, cables, and steering wheels. A second games section offers pre-owned titles with a 90-day guarantee. The advert concludes with an order form, promising a no-quibble exchange policy and accepting various payment methods, including cash. Overall, it's a typical 90s mail-order experience. Top Gear Rally for the N64 is highly anticipated, drawing comparisons to GoldenEye and Lilac Wars. The game promises a revamped racing experience, moving beyond simple tarmac tracks to include treacherous terrains and hazards. Players select from two initial 4WD cars, with different acceleration and top speed attributes. New cars, including faster off-road and rear-wheel drive sports cars, unlock seasonally. The game features a car select screen and races with 20 cars. The review highlights the challenging, off-road racing gameplay, drawing comparisons to Sega Rally, emphasizing the loss of control over terrain. Overall, the preview suggests a positive reception, positioning Top Gear Rally as a potentially strong addition to the N64's racing game roster. Top Gear Rally for the N64 aims to capture the success of other popular titles. The game features several modes: Championship, a standard season mode with increasing difficulty; Arcade, offering split-screen races against friends or the computer; Time Attack, where players race against the clock; and Practice, allowing players to learn tracks and find shortcuts. A Paint the Town Red feature allows for basic car customization with colors, logos, and text. The article also provides a walkthrough of the coastline circuit, detailing track features and advising caution on tricky turns and near canyons. This article previews the fall season in Top Gear Rally. The season features 4 tracks: jungle/fog, desert/fog, coastline/rain, and mountain/sunny, with increasingly challenging weather conditions. Players get to use 8 cars, though only 2 are highlighted, a green/purple car and an orange/white one. The article includes screenshots depicting race positions, 2nd and 20th, illustrating the competitive nature of the game. A section details role reversal, a guide to recovering from flips. Additionally, there's advice on navigating jungle circuit, night driving, offering corner-specific tips. The focus is on providing gameplay guidance and highlighting the season's content. Top Gear Rally offers arcade-style racing with a focus on finding shortcuts, particularly highlighted on the coastline circuit. The game features various camera angles, including a picturesque chase view and a driver's seat perspective with a rear-view mirror. The UK release is unexpectedly early, scheduled for October. The preview focuses on the desert circuit, which begins similarly to Cruisin' USA, but quickly differentiates itself. The track winds through a city, under bridges, and into a desert environment complete with vultures and hot air balloons, intended to enhance focus due to the otherwise bland scenery. Players must also watch out for cacti, The overall impression is that the reviewer is enthusiastic about the game. This preview highlights the excitement surrounding San Francisco Rush on the N64, a potential top-tier arcade racing conversion. The magazine acknowledges the console's mixed track record, with racing games like Multi-Racing Championship and Top Gear Rally. The preview focuses on the game's wild, over-the-top nature, particularly the dynamic skid marks. The game features 6 tracks, playable in single or two-player modes, with increasing difficulty. The first track eases players into the handling, while the others provide greater challenges and competition. Mirrored and backward track variations add replayability, and the screenshots showcase authentic San Francisco scenery and track maps with details like lap distance, elevation change, and difficulty ratings. The preview conveys a strong positive impression, anticipating if San Francisco Rush will deliver a top-notch arcade experience on the N64. This review of San Francisco Rush focuses on its car selection and game options. The game, set in San Francisco, features 4 car classes: beginner, advanced, expert, and extreme, with each offering increased speed and handling, but potentially compromising the car's durability. The review also highlights various camera angles, including a bizarre, invisible car view. The "A change will do you good" section details game options like laps, drone cars, wind, handicap, and fog, the latter seemingly designed to hide pop-up issues. Rumble pack sensitivity is mentioned as a standard N64 controller feature. The review concludes with a random comment about a bomb on the bus, and a reference to the film's Speed, suggesting the game is fairly standard racing fare, albeit presented with some enthusiasm. This page in 64 site continues the focus on San Francisco Rush, looking at the crash dynamics. First up, under Flamin' Heck, it's all about the damage modeling. As you'd expect from a racer back then, bashing into things messes up your car's appearance, and apparently if you're persistent, you can get it to spectacularly burst into flames. They do seem rather impressed by this. Then we have Murder, Death, Kill, which is a bit much for what it is. This death option basically means if you crash too often, your vehicle explodes and you're out. They're calling it almost scarily realistic, which is a bit generous. The screenshots illustrate these pixelated crashes and the progressively battered cars. It's all a bit of added drama for what was at its core a fairly typical arcade racing game. N64 site reviews Rumble Pack implementation in several games. Multi-Racing Championship offers weak rumble, mainly for off-road driving. Top Gear Rally provides good rumble feedback, especially during off-road and crash sequences. San Francisco Rush has constant rumble due to frequent crashes. Wave Race 64 disappoints with limited rumble, only for crashes and ramps. Diddy Kong Racing is rumored to have promising rumble but is untested. Lamborghini 64 lacks rumble in the review copy, but hopes for it in the final version. Mario Kart 64 lacks rumble, but rumors suggest a future edition. The article also highlights San Francisco Rush gameplay, mentioning hidden routes accessible by smashing through obstacles, and the game's exaggerated handling and massive jumps, including mid-air acceleration. This page in official Nintendo magazine is diving into Nagano Winter Olympics, 98 for the N64. They're saying that with the Winter Olympics just around the corner, Konami, of all people, are bringing us a new multi-sports game, just like their old arcade classic Track and Field. They're making a big deal about it being officially licensed for the 1998 Winter Olympics in Nagano. The Going for Gold section is pretty excited about the graphics, calling them some of the finest 3D graphics in a sports game at the time. They're banging on about the level of detail, from snow-covered mountains to the athletes' animations and the crowds. They mentioned bobsleigh and aerial events as being visually impressive, talking about triple twisting, neck-breaking somersaults, all very dramatic. Then there's Aerial Automatic, which talks about championship and Olympic modes, meaning you can go for the full shebang if you want. They list the different events: bobsleigh, downhill skiing, speed skating, aerial, and even snowboarding, which is apparently a new addition for a Winter Olympics game at the time. They also mention a ranking mode to show off your scores to your mates. Aerial. The screenshots show the name entry screen, some downhill skiing gameplay, aerial stuff, and a bit of curling thrown in for good measure. Seems like they're trying to cover all bases with the Winter Olympics sports. No mention of Rumble Pack support here, unlike the last page, but maybe button bashing is enough for these snowy games. This page is still banging on about Nagano Winter Olympics 98. They're kicking off by saying you can play as 16 different nations, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, which is a bit of a laugh when you think about the real-life teams. Apparently, picking Great Britain is like choosing a cucumber compared to the might of Canada, Russia, or the USA bit harsh but funny. Then there's a section called Having a Pissed Up, classic mag humor, talking about multiplayer. Apparently you can get up to 4 players involved in Nagano 98, which sounds like a right laugh for a party, playing either one after the other, or all on the same screen depending on the event. They're saying it's literally cool, which is a bit cringe, but the sentiment is there. Slide rules section is about the controls. They're mentioning joystick waggling and button thrashing, proper old school arcade style controls, which they reckon makes the events feel as demanding as the real thing. Well, maybe a slight exaggeration there, but button bashing is always good for a laugh. Yeah. The screenshots show a downhill skiing race in progress, the player selection screen with slots for up to 4 players using controllers, a country select screen where Great Britain is highlighted, some speed skating action and a bit of curling too. Looks like they are really pushing the multiplayer angle and the variety of events in this one. This page is still banging on about Nagano Winter Olympics 98, but now they're focusing on the bobsleigh event. Apparently if you're into cool runnings, this game's bobsleigh is supposed to be top-notch on the N64. They're saying you hammer the A button to get your power up, and then you use B to jump, wipe out and you'll be flat on your face, which they reckon is suitably humiliating. Always good for a laugh at your mate's expense, eh? There are a bunch of screenshots showing the bobsleigh in action, different camera angles and that. You can see the speedo, and the rankings, all that jazz. One of the pics shows a leaderboard with names like Larson and Murphys, which is probably the computer players, or maybe some hotshot game journos showing off their times. Then there's a bit in a yellow box headlined, "It's Snow Joke." Konami is releasing Nagano Winter Olympics in January 98, to tie in with the actual Nagano Winter Olympics in February. They mention snowboarding is in this time too, alongside the usual bobsleigh and downhill skiing. And they finish off with a classic line about hoping Eddie the Eagle Edwards doesn't make an appearance. Bit harsh on Eddie, but you get the joke. This page is a bit of an odd one. It's a full-page advert for Mars bars, using a kind of love and dating theme. It's got this blue handwritten style text saying, "Zoe won't go out with you in a million years," jeered Dan, and then below last night said, with a picture of a photo booth strip, and a lipstick kiss, and other bits and bobs dotted around. Looks like they're trying to tell a story about a date that didn't go well, and Dan is clearly having a laugh at someone's expense. There's a Mars bar at the bottom with "Keep Up Mars." So I guess the idea is if you eat a Mars, you'll somehow have better luck with the ladies or something. Bit tenuous if you ask me, but there you go, that's advertising for you back in the day. Doesn't seem to have much to do with Nintendo or games this time though, unless you count the million years line as gamer speak for never gonna happen, ha! The Club Mario Letters page features reader complaints and opinions on 64 games. One gamer laments his mother cleaning his cartridges with dish soap, damaging classics like Mario 64. Another criticizes the N64's lack of racing and fighting games, despite titles like Mario Kart being available. A third reader dislikes FIFA 64, preferring International Superstar Soccer 64, a sentiment the magazine agrees with. The page also advertises prizes from Datel and Spice Games. Finally, it highlights a World of Nintendo section encouraging readers to submit photos of Mario-themed pizza places for a contest. This magazine page features a mix of reader submissions and N64 game coverage. The top section showcases reader artwork, including a Mario-themed photo and illustrations. The main content focuses on the N64, highlighting races like Mario Kart 64 and Wave Race 64, while anticipating upcoming beat-em-ups. Letters cover various topics, from a reader's dad's PlayStation preference to complaints about delayed PAL game releases. Another letter celebrates choosing the N64 over PlayStation. The magazine's editorial agrees, praising early N64 games. Other features include a cartoon and a drawing. The page concludes with a letter questioning the N64's age ratings, arguing that some games should have higher ratings than they currently do. This issue features a mix of reader submissions and industry news. A reader suggests Mario Jam 64, a basketball game with Mario characters, inspired by NBA Jam. Another submission includes a random cartoon. The console war rages on, with a reader criticizing Sony for allegedly copying Nintendo's analog stick and rumble technology. The FAQ section reveals news about upcoming games. Mario Golf 64 is rumored, Diddy Kong Racing is slated for a late November/early December release, and Lilat Wars, Star Fox 64, got a name change. Cruisin' World is expected early next year, along with numerous baseball games. Donkey Kong Country 3 on Game Boy is planned for Christmas. Reader art includes Street Fighter fan art and a Mario Kart picture targeting a PlayStation. The article also touches on age ratings and critiques Sony's early struggles with its rumble pack and analog stick. This magazine issue opens with reader letters. Mr. Hard to Please misunderstands console power usage, while Sister Troubles details a sibling's game-ending act. Another letter proposes using Clay Fighter 63 1/3 to get rid of someone, and that little boy Simon wants Seal to turn a boy into a Tamagotchi. A Name That Game puzzle challenges readers to identify upcoming N64 titles based on clues referencing various game franchises. The issue also includes comics, The Adventures of Per Mario, Mario Wars, a Mario/Star Wars mashup, and a Star Fox Heavy Metal Gang drawing. C-Mail features Seal answering letters while playing his N64, mentioning Gary, and sharing a most wanted list including more inventions and the spice games you really want. This preview of Lamborghini 64 for the N64 hypes the game as a potential rival to other racing titles. The article focuses on the appeal of driving high-end cars like the Ferrari Testarossa and Lamborghini Diablo across 7 tracks designed for varying skill levels. The game includes arcade, championship, and tournament modes, with the ultimate goal of becoming the Lamborghini champion. A unique feature highlighted is the player-controlled pit stops, where players use the 3D stick to manage fuel, tire changes, and repairs before time runs out, even allowing for engine boosting with 4-star fuel. The article suggests the game leans towards arcade-style racing despite its ambitions, focusing on fun and spectacle, rather than pure simulation. This magazine page highlights features of the upcoming Lamborghini 64 game. Camera angles are discussed, advising players to use behind-car views for optimal speed due to the performance impact of the in-car view. The game boasts 7 tracks with varied environments, including British-inspired scenery. Multiplayer is a key focus, supporting up to 4 players in split-screen mode. The game features visual effects like lens flare and smoke, though spinning out just for the effects isn't recommended. Finally, the developers are refining the game based on feedback from E3, promising further updates and generating anticipation for its release. Overall, it sounds like a typical, yet promising racing game. This page is all about Chameleon Twist. Looks like Ocean are finally bringing this one out on the N64. Apparently it's been a bit ignored by developers, but they're calling it a breakthrough for bugade lizard kind, which is a bit of a strange phrase if you ask me, but there you go. So it's a 3D platformer, and the gimmick is the chameleon's tongue, which it uses to get around and solve puzzles. They're saying you have to collect crowns scattered across 6 worlds. Apparently you can get through the levels without collecting any crowns, but to properly complete each world you have to grab them all. They've got screenshots of different levels, lizard levels, jungle land, which is apparently caves, waterfalls and hedgehogs for some reason, bomb land and antland. The antland screenshot shows the queen ant boss. They're saying you'll need some fancy chameleon tricks to beat her. It sounds like a collectathon platformer, very much the style of the time, and they're making a point about mastering the tongue controls, saying it's a skill that takes some mastering. Programmed in Japan by System Supply and Sunsoft, but Ocean are handling the UK release before the end of the year, so not too long to wait. Chameleon Twist's multiplayer mode, Harm a Chameleon, allows 2 to 4 players to battle in survival or time trial arenas. Players choose a chameleon color and utilize the tongue mechanic to suck up enemies, blast opponents, and navigate platforms. The tongue can grab enemies, objects, and be used for jumps and high vaults. The preview of an 80% complete demo revealed mixed impressions. While the game was deemed pretty neat, and the tongue mechanics innovative, the difficulty was considered easy, and the camera needed improvement. The Ghost Castle level was highlighted as a positive. Level design includes Kids Land with tricky tongue maneuvers, Desert Castle with wall bouncing, and Ghost Castle featuring revolving rooms and puzzles. The levels promise themed platforming action with tongue-based challenges. This webpage, Advertising Excitement Direct, a Nintendo specialist, showcases a wide array of N64 products. The site, reminiscent of a bygone era, offered N64 consoles and bundles, featuring popular games like GoldenEye, Mario Kart, and Blast Corps, with prices around £180. The page also highlighted a variety of controllers, including official Nintendo controllers, SharkPad Pros, and arcade sticks, along with racing game steering wheels. Additionally, the advertisement featured game offers and a comprehensive list of individual N64 games, such as Bomberman 64, GoldenEye, and Diddy Kong Racing, priced mainly between £40 and £50. The site aimed to entice customers with special deals and a vast selection of N64 merchandise. Excitement Direct is advertising gift vouchers, ranging from £10 to £30, as the perfect gift solution. They heavily promote rumble packs and shockwave accessories for the N64, adding force feedback to games. The advert also features tremor packs. N64 imports like Doom 64 and Duke Nukem are available. Game Boy games, mainly around £20, and accessories such as Action Replay are also listed. Super NES classics like Donkey Kong Country and Mario Kart are offered at reasonable prices, alongside controllers. The miscellaneous section includes cleaning kits and themed mouse mats. Virtual pets such as Nkocha Cat are available from £9.99. Finally, they're selling second-hand games, including PlayStation consoles and games like Tomb Raider 2. The advert concludes with a mail order form. Next month's issue promises an 64 overload, featuring previews of anticipated games. Diddy Kong Racing is highlighted with the question of whether it's the greatest game ever, alongside GoldenEye 007. Other games like Extreme G, Bomberman 64, and Top Gear Rally are also previewed. A major draw is a free giveaway, touted as the best Nintendo free gift in 5 years. The issue also includes a 16-page tips and cheats section, with guides for games like Mischief Makers and WCW versus NWO. A tips book is also available. The issue arrives November 22nd, with the usual staff list and subscription information. This page, blimey, it's a full-on advert for Star Fox 64, or Lilac Wars as they call it over here. Special edition launches October 10th, it shouts at the top. Nintendo 64 plastered all over it, of course, starring Fox McCloud, and they've got Slippy, Peppy, and Falco thrown in there too, the whole gang. It's pushing the Feel the Adventure with Nintendo line. They're really going to town on the N64 specs, 64-bit power, 94 MHz speed, 3D environment, rumble pack included, stereo sound, precision control, and multiplayer. Standard marketing spiel, but back then it felt like a big deal, didn't it? The fastest, most powerful games console on Earth is a bit of a boast, but it was pretty nippy for its time. They're bragging about over 600 soundbites of real dialogue, which, looking back, is a bit funny. The dialogue in that game was, well, it was something. Do a barrel roll, will be forever burned into my brain. Still, Lilac Wars, it was a proper classic, wasn't it? Solid on-rail shooter, looked great at the time, and that rumble pack really did add something to the experience. Good times. The next page, right, it's an advert for FIFA Road to World Cup 98 on the Game Boy. Bit different from Star Fox, eh? There's David Beckham, looking all young and fresh-faced, wearing the England kit. Text says something about him keeping world-class opposition in his pocket next summer, obviously talking about the upcoming World Cup in 98. The main tagline is, "Why don't you do the same?" A bit cheeky, suggesting playing the Game Boy game will make you as good as Beckham. It's all promoting the Game Boy version, and it's got the France 98 mascot, Footix, the blue cockerel, down at the bottom with the Game Boy logo. Logos for THQ, FIFA, France 98, and esports are dotted around too, showing who's involved in this footy game. Copyright dates it to 1997, so yeah, makes sense for a World Cup 98 tie-in. Pretty standard footy game advert of the time, really.